There's some things the White House does that I understand what they're doing politically, like going ahead and picking this fight with Democrats on crime in big cities. This is it's frustrating the left. It is dividing the Democratic Party on this front, and they know it. And it is the only thing that I think voters are sort of siding with him on right now than they are with Trump opponents. On the economy, the voters, more people seem to be siding with Trump's opponents than with Trump on this. With national security, more with Trump's opponents than with Trump on this. But on this single issue, I think he is, even on immigration, Trump is losing the plot, right? Where you still have a majority, including a strong minority of Republicans who believe in a path to citizenship, who are not crazy about this mass deportations, et cetera. So really the one thing, and I think it means that as this economy gets weaker, as the political climate looks tougher for Republicans because this economy gets weaker and weaker and costs keep going up, the one thing the White House is going to press their foot on the gas on is in finding a way to insert themselves into law and order politics in the big cities. And they're being, they're not going to Jackson, Mississippi. They're not going to Memphis, Tennessee, right? They've yet to pick a city that is run by in a state with a Republican governor. I don't think they're going to do that, right? All of it is going to be designed with this, find a blue city in a blue state and try to single it out that way. And you see it, right? You've seen the mayor of Chicago react in a way which is not, I think he hasn't taken the right tactic here. I think Muriel Bowser took the way like, hey, great, we need some more resources. Now, how you're doing about it is not the way I would do it. I need more help hiring cops. I need more money for after school programs. I need more money for all of these things. Just surging National Guard troops who really are not equipped to do day-to-day policing is barely a temporary solution, right? What we've seen in Washington, D.C., it's no solution at all. It is literally, you only see the presence of the Guard and the tourist locations, which tells you that this is more performative than it is actually about helping Washington, D.C. police streets in places that are under-policed. The most over-policed section of Washington, D.C. is the area between Constitution Avenue and Independence Avenue. There are so many different law enforcement agencies that have jurisdiction there. They're all over the place. You can't keep track of them on how many there are. So it is a complete absurdity. And yet, if you wanted to have a conversation about the other side of Anacostia, of the Anacostia River, plenty of residents there would love to see more beat cops on the street. So it is obviously designed to be performative, but here's the thing. It does, not only does it play to the president's base, it plays into this perception that Democrats are soft on this. And then you have the divide in the Democratic Party, which only then reinforces the softness. So this is a classic, hey, if you can find an issue that divides your opponents, you're winning. And this is one of those issues that is dividing right now Democrats, and they have not come up with a sort of a coherent response to this. Perhaps they should be just focused on cost of living, right? Talking about it as a distraction. But at the same time, these cities need more resources from the federal government, and this Congress pulled these resources away from the federal government. Unfortunately, this is something that might get worse in a lot of cities because, all of the excess money that the federal government had been giving to cities basically since COVID is drying up. And that's only going to make this more difficult. It's only going to make this harder. And in some ways, as the divisive way that Trump's going about this, it actually hurts police recruiting, right? If you turn police officers into this political pawn, you're going to, plenty of people are going to be like, I don't want to automatically have half the country not like me or half, this has been Trump's method, right? He never wants to unite the country. His instinct is always divide, divide, divide. That's always where he's going. It's been good politics for Donald Trump. It's been bad for the country. Frankly, it's been bad, right? We're not a unified country. We're an extraordinarily how ununified are we? We now are going to have like different health rules depending on the state that you live in. Like the governor of Illinois just signed a bill that essentially said, "Hey, the state will recognize, you know, medicines that had FDA approval, you know, before 2025 if they somehow get the approval yanked by Robert Kennedy and his crazy anti-vax crew." And so, we're literally going to have different standards of health, different standards of law enforcement, different standards of a lot of things based on the state you live in. I mean, we're already used to this a little bit, but we're starting to see brighter and brighter lines. That's not healthy for this nation. And that starts from the top. This is intentionally divisive, and it's bad for the country. And so, look, I think two things are going to be true about what we're witnessing. One is this Fed thing. This is about testing the courts, and we'll see what the courts say. I think he's going to lose this one and lose it bigly. Look, he's still eventually going to get his way. He's going to get his new Fed chair, and it's not healthy. That's not good. The last time a president had this much influence on a Fed chair was Richard Nixon and Arthur Burns, and it led to arguably the third worst period economically in this country's history, counting the Great Depression and the Great Recession as 1 and 2. And so if you would like if you think Turkey's got a great economy, memo to folks, it does not. As the narrator might insert here, you're going to love this politicized economy that he attempts to do here, which of course I don't get. This is why politically I think this is so stupid, right? Any political strategist would say, whoa, 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 why do you want more control over these things? Because then there's only one person to blame, right? I also think being mayor of every city is something he's going to regret, right? He is obsessed with inserting himself into every story, obsessed with inserting himself into every problem. But what he is going to send the message in is that, okay, it's all his fault now, right? Whatever you don't like, it's Donald Trump's fault, pure and simple. And in many ways, he's basically raising his hand and saying, no, 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 no. You could say it's, at least he's willing to take responsibility, or he's willing to put himself out there. But we know he doesn't usually take responsibility. When things go wrong, he'll still try to find a way to blame somebody else. Maybe he'll blame independent podcasters like myself, right? Or whatever. But he's always looking for someone else to blame. But in some ways, there's going to be fewer and fewer other people to blame.